Okay. So we will have to ask somebody to do note taking tonight. I did prepare a whole bunch of things, but I'm going to leave it up to you guys how you want to run this. I'm suggesting. So we had call to order, roll call. I think that'll be a quick one. That should not take long. Could somebody take notes out there?
We have the recording, and I can take some brief notes. I think that all we're really talking about the structure right now, so I can take brief things that we decide on, if that's what you're looking for, or if that's what the commissioners are looking for.
Just wanted to make sure we had roll call, and Chris wasn't here. So, and if he pops in,
if we do a quick election of officers, then we can just have somebody be the secretary and take notes then, and maybe pick pick a basic bylaws to follow, or order of, even if we just base it off of the commission's bylaws or something, but that way we have a basic foundation to work from. Just a suggestion, if anybody's.
I have a point of order about that, Eric. I mean, I had no intention on the subcommittee of having officers, or we are a subcommittee. We're all leaders in this commission, and I don't think officers are necessary. Have the other subcommittees been doing that? No.
Yeah, we did.
I don't plan on doing it for the DEII committee or the other committees. So, I think that what we're looking for is just a facilitator. Somebody that would help facilitate meetings. That can be rotated. We also are looking for somebody that to maybe report out to the commission every week, and that can be rotated as well from our meetings. And I just don't see any reason to have any officers in a committee of 6 elected commissioners where we're just discussing communication.
How do others feel?
I realize I have my hand up, but there's nobody calling on people, so I was trying to be polite.
I'm sorry.
No. I'll just share my perspective. So, because Maureen seemed interested in this, I know she did attempt to talk to everyone leading up to this. I don't necessarily think we need officers, and I know Maureen wasn't trying to take over. I think she was trying to be helpful, and so I think we just need one person maybe who will lead the meetings and be in charge of the reports. That to me would be fine. I don't know that that person needs any sort of other leadership authority other than running the meetings. And I'm not interested in running the meetings or creating an agenda on a rotating basis. So if there is someone who is, I'm all for it. So that's it.
So the only thing is I think that all communications that have to do with the communication committee should have all of the commissioners CC'd on everything. There was a lot, like I mentioned before, about the selection of the days and those kind of things that were unilateral decisions. But that should have been, and even the poll that we filled out I was unable to see results of how anybody else voted or anything like that. So I just want to make sure that everything is very transparent. And I think not having officers would be more transparent, and it would include everybody in that. And if all communications through county staff and everything, everybody was CC'd on it and everybody knows. That's my opinion, and that's what I think will work out best. People will always gravitate to the thing that they do really well, especially around communications. I know Eric Holt, Dorothy Gasquet have run successful campaigns where they know a lot about communicating with the public, and Marina as well. I've worked in, so they'll always gravitate to doing things that they're really good at. Marina's really good at putting together things like she did with the ranked choice voting. I do think that we should rotate reporting out on commission meetings. I think a facilitator, there's people on this committee that I think are good facilitators and can do the job. So I think rotating or is something that I would like to see happen.
What do you think, Dorothy? And then Eric, what do you think?
I have no interest in running meetings right now. Like I'm
It's
barely here.
glamorous.
So I really appreciate all the work Maureen has done, and I don't want to step on her toes. She's doing a great job. I'd rather just keep her as facilitator. That's kind of where I'm at. So far, she's definitely demonstrated an ability to do it. I don't know about. I mean, we can rotate
Except for there was a
reports.
lack of
I think that's
transparency.
you
Yeah.
know.
There, except for their putting an agenda together and asking for input about an agenda, those are things that I would like to see whoever is facilitating. And I think that we've already started to do it with our other committee. The first thing was like someone just goes, "Hey, what do you guys think? You know, what should we do this?" So I think that communication needs to be more open and inclusive. And I would nominate Eric to be a facilitator for this meeting if he was willing.
Eric, give us your thoughts, please.
So I just want to clarify that according to the commission bylaws, section 7, the committee shall have a chair elected by the members, and that chair will serve for the remainder of the, or for the determined time frame of that committee as chair. So we're going to have a hard time, according to the bylaws, doing any kind of a rotational thing. Or calling it a facilitator, even if we're going to have anything, but it says shall have, which means that's not
So
must
I
have.
was part of putting those bylaws together, and those bylaws were considering committees that had individuals that were involved in it that were not commissioners. So when we talk about, and if you look at those bylaws, and that's what that is a reference to. So
Yeah, I'm just going by what's
making sure
in
that
the
there was a
bylaws.
commissioner.
But yeah, I don't have any interest in being the facilitator. I'm here to help with the communications and sell these winning proposals that we have, and that's about all I can take on my plate right now.
Okay,
Thank you.
fine.
All right, should we jump in? And so we can get down to business because it's 5:15 now, and unless anybody has any, do you want to go ahead and elect according to Eric? We've got to do that to the bylaws. Do you want to go ahead and move forward with that? How would you guys like to proceed?
I will make a motion to appoint Commissioner Winningham as chair of this subcommittee.
I'd like to make a motion to have co-chairs then. I just don't feel like there was an inclusive process leading up to this. So I would like to have some kind of input in that.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess I made a motion, and that motion's on the table, and I guess there's been a separate motion made for co-chairs, so I guess I'll just let my motion sit for a minute to see if anything happens with it.
I guess I'm gonna second Commissioner Rush's motion. Kind of just want to move forward. We only have 6 people. Just get this going.
Thank you. I guess we need to have a vote then. So, Commissioner Rush, how would you? I guess we'll just go around. If you guys, or shake your head no if what I'm doing is not acceptable. So, we'll go around as I see you guys and vote. So, Commissioner Rush,
I'm a yes.
Commissioner Holt,
I
I thought you were starting a sentence. I'm sorry, like, oh, I would like some chocolate. Commissioner Gasquet,
Yes.
And Commissioner Niles.
Yes.
And we will just note that Commissioner Goodwin wasn't here, so he couldn't vote. Okay. Should we jump
I'd like
on?
to, I'd like to
Jump
talk
on in.
about that role.
I know you
that
want to
role,
talk
though.
more, but we need to keep moving. I understand you feel left out. I understand that you feel that it wasn't a egalitarian process. I will just say for the record, I did the same thing for everyone. I texted everybody to ask for 30 minutes. I got a positive response and scheduled time with everyone but you, Terry, who did not have time. And that's fine if your job's demanding. I get that. I went through the same list of questions with everyone. I documented it with everyone. And that's what we're about to review. So
Can I just, we need to talk about the role of the chair, if that's the case. I mean, I would like to be CC'd on the communications that go back and forth within
okay.
this committee.
I don't know why you would think that you wouldn't, but sure. I'm
Well,
going to make sure
have
to
it then.
include everybody. Everybody's received the same level of communication. I'm sorry that you feel victimized by it, but that's exactly, I've treated everyone equally. If you don't feel treated equally, that's unfortunate, but it is the fact, not feelings. So can we go ahead and move on? All right. These are the things that I went ahead and talked to everybody about, and I tried to put everyone's districts down here. I'm not going to go full screen with PowerPoint just because I want to make sure and see your faces. So this is just the basics of what I had down for an agenda. Can everyone see if you guys nod? Yeah, okay, great. All right. We have communication from everybody, and these are just basically the highlights of the notes that I took from discussions with everybody. I see we just had a caller call in. Hey, Commissioner Goodwin, is that you? Okay. I went and wrote down the goals and priorities from everybody. I asked everyone the same thing. Any kind of frustrations we want to avoid, any additional comments, and where we begin. And then what I thought we could do is just do a brainstorm on a little tool called Menti, and I'll go over that in just a sec. It's wicked easy to use. So these were the communications from everybody that I got, and this is just a highlight because we all talked for about 30 minutes. So Commissioner Goodwin wanted to make sure that these are the goals and priorities, and he wanted to make sure that we are sharing what we're doing, providing public comment. Later, we can be evangelizing and garnering support. Is it a little bit too small? I can blow it up a bit. Is that all right? Okay. Let's see. Commissioner Rush wants clear, consistent messaging on what we've been working on and on the finished product. Commissioner Gasquet would like to create and implement a solid communications strategy. Commissioner Hull wants to bring public input to the table before the vote. And once we have a product, how do we influence that support? I said to involve the community early and often to educate and garner support for all the charter the charter commission work. To keep the public updated and then fully utilize all the county communication resources that we have to make it a consistent, scalable message, because we don't want to have any kind of inconsistencies or misinformation in the public if anybody goes out to speak. Does anybody want to comment on your comments or add color to anything?
Well, I'd like to comment since I don't have comments down there. So I think that what we're going to be doing is going to be changing, and it's going to be very dynamic. What we're doing now is going to be completely different than what we're doing a month from now and 2 months from now, and leading up to where we're going. I think now, like consistently now, is to meet after each after a commission meeting and have a consistent message that that at least we as a communication team put out there for people to put out there for commissioners. Like this is kind of what the commission is working at. I know that we're all elected officials and we have our own ideas and our own things that we're supporting. But we don't want the message that commissioners are giving, we want a concise message for the actual commission. So I've done this before in bargaining, after bargaining sessions. So bargaining members don't go out there and say things that they're fighting for that are not a consistent message that that the actual commission is fighting for. So I think that's important to start, and how we're moving forward with that, and having that message out there. I know that there has been some inconsistency messages out there. So that would be the thing that I think we have to be doing now. I agree with what everybody else wants to do moving forward after that. I think that as we move forward, particularly when we get like articles that are going to be on the table, then, having a message around those articles and what that's about.
Okay, just so I can reiterate, what we're going to be doing after this part is brainstorming and writing all that stuff down. All I was making sure of by making this presentation was that I heard everybody and what they said. So this is not the only goals or anything like that. I just wanted everybody else to know what everybody thinks, and then we can go ahead and write it all down. So let me just go ahead and get through the information that's been accumulated so far, and we can go ahead and begin to start the brainstorming process in just a sec. Whoever called in, would you mind muting for me, please? Whoever called in on the phone, we just hear a little bit of background noise there. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the next thing I asked was any frustrations you want to avoid? And pretty much by far, it was trying to stay focused on the tasks at hand, have structure. Each meeting should have a roadmap with timelines and limits, and then actions assigned with deadlines for each person. People don't like poor time management and interruptions and digressing from the agenda. So, and Commissioner Holt was keep focused on the future, not on the history. Is anything there inaccurate to the people who contributed to that? Okay. All right. Next thing was additional comments, just anything I didn't ask that didn't come up in a conversation. Commissioner Goodwin said, pull out primary talking points. So a lot of folks said the same thing about having talking points that are consistent, that we share with the rest of the commission. And Commissioner Goodwin also said outreach to social media, piggybacking off of possible political campaigns if people wanted to hear about what updates with the charter there were. Commissioner Rush said solid messaging, make people feel heard. Commissioner Gasquet wants to do outreach, social media strategy, tapping into existing organizations. And one that she's very familiar with is the VFW, thank you for your service to our country, because she is a veteran, and unions. Also said PowerPoints with talking points to help everybody guide, and she wants to make sure that we keep in mind that there may be an opportunity for ranked choice voting education if that is decided to go on ballot. Commissioner Holt wants to plant seeds of where we're going to be, get buy-in during this process so we communicate early and often. And then another twist on that was doing community input with district-specific messaging, so we make sure to know our audience, which is a very good point. And then I was just saying, use all the social media and community discussions in the roundtables and leveraging anything that the county has. And I just had a 40-minute meeting with Johnny McAll. I don't know why I'm having a hard time with Irish names tonight. And she gave me a lot of information about how we can get our message out, what tools there are, and what resources we have at the county level. And then finally, I asked, where should we begin? Where do you think we should begin? Commissioner Goodwin wanted to begin with a list of topics, areas of interest. Town halls were another idea. And then putting together our intentions to give us comments and provide it back to commissioners. Commissioner Rush, brain dump, brainstorm, whichever one you want to call it, who, what, when, where, how we communicate, and then understanding what we can communicate and how. To be redundant. Sorry, I probably should have proofed that a little bit better. Commissioner Gasquet wants to brainstorm. How do we get the comms out and how can we reach as many people as possible? Commissioner Holt wants to make sure and have a system of process, leadership focus on timeframes and milestones, and then brainstorm. No bad ideas. Do you want to add a little color to what you mean by system of process, or do you want to wait, Commissioner Holt?
We can go through it later. It's just about having a system in place that you know, like SMART goals, where you're actually meeting milestones. You can record it. You've got you know, it's just a leadership evaluation tool.
Gotcha. Thank you. And then I had just agree on clear goals, leverage what we've already got, which means we got to know what we've got, and leverage the infrastructure and communicate early and often. So I'm happy to add to this wherever you want to, but I created these basic questions so we can make sure and all get on the same page. And what we can do is input this into this nifty little product I like to use called Mentee. So here's how we use Mentee. I just put it in chat. So what you do is you can either use your cell phone or just pull up a URL and you just go to mentee.com, MENTI.com. And then what you want to do is make sure and put that code in that I've just listed there in the chat. And that's how we're going to be communicating for all of these questions and answers. And that way, everyone will have an accurate representation of what they said and how they said. So the first question was, how often should we meet? So that's kind of an easy one. So I guess it's also a good test of Mentee. So again, all you have to do is plug that in your phone or a URL. And as soon as you do that, look at that. Somebody already replied. What smart, fast learners you are. Okay, and I will try to weekly if necessary. All right. You can answer as many times as you want, by the way. I set this up so overly loquacious people feel welcomed. And bi-weekly, right? So every 2 weeks. I'm going to say bi-weekly myself. And we can always increase it if need be. And just so you guys know, if you haven't used Mentee before, it's a European product, but I'm sure they have ones here in America. Right down here at the bottom corner, you can see how many people have answered, where it's got the little person and the 4. And that'll tell you how many people have answered and given feedback. So then I can go to the next question. And I can create these at a moment's notice. So we can, if I'm not asking something you guys want to talk about, then we can certainly do it. What should our goals be?
It doesn't work on my pad, unfortunately.
You can use your phone. It works on it actually that should work, but it can also use your cell phone.
I think I just tried that one too.
I already used it on my cell phone.
Is this quicker than us just answering?
It is because this is absolutely accurate. Print PDFs, save them, and send them out to the entire commission. So it actually serves in lieu of taking notes.
Okay, well, I guess we're going to be hung up while I finish this. Figure out how to do it.
You know, what should our goals be? You can feel free and put in as many goals as you want, you guys, because we can sort through and prioritize everything later on. Mm-hmm. Commissioner Goodwin, you are here.
Not allowing me to
Welcome.
put a code in.
I don't know what to say. Yeah, I just used it and it works just fine. So,
And then, can you take it back? Take it back to the first one so I can answer that one. I finally got on.
I'm sorry, Carol, but we really need to keep moving forward, and we've already lost a lot of time. I understand that you have a lot of input. We need to respect what everybody else is here for too. And we only have 28 minutes left. And Commissioner Goodwin, I know you just got here. Just so you know, what we're doing is we're trying to go over our goals really quick. If you look, by the way, welcome. If you look in the chat, you will see there's a product called Mentee, MENTI. You just go to menti.com and you
The site.
plug in that code. And when you plug in that code, you can put in whatever you would like to as far as our goals. I did kind of go over what you and I had talked about before anyway. I had it in a PowerPoint.
Great, thanks.
And you can put in as many as you like.
So is there any way to see people's answers as, are you able to see them?
Can you guys not see them?
The answers?
You can see them.
No.
I see them on the shared screen.
Everyone else is seeing them.
Oh, I'm not seeing them on my phone. Maybe that's something that.
You don't see it on your phone. You see it on the,
Oh, now I see
on
it.
the program that. Ooh, public engagement, developing communication strategy, delivering winning propositions. Yeah, that is something that came up in several discussions with you all too, was making sure that what we have will be supported by the public, because it wouldn't do much good for us to do all this work and not do outreach to understand if we're on the wrong track, if we're on the right track, and how the community supports things. Does anybody else need more time, or shall I move on? Give me this hand up if you're ready to move on.
I'm ready to move on, but I had my hand up. Just a quick comment. Just
Yep.
letting you know, Commissioner Winningham, your audio is going a little in and out sometimes. So
I'll put on another headset. Thanks. All right, now you know my little trick to get my other headset started. I actually have a label maker. I have 3 of them because I'm on this so much. Okay, should we go ahead and move to the next one? All right. The next question, how shall we prioritize? How would you all like to prioritize? Would you, well, just go ahead and say how you'd like to.
How shall we prioritize what exactly?
The goals. So if you want to have an immediacy to it, if you feel it should be tied to another committee, if something has a sense of urgency that we should be talking about in the community ahead of time, that kind of thing. I could be leaving something out. Did you have anything else in mind? Okay. Go ahead and give me a nod if you want to move on, or if you got a couple. Yeah, okay, perfect. I can see Dorothy and Eric, so you guys are my guide right now. What types of communication should we use? Now, I can also add a little bit of color to this too, because I did hear from the resources that we've got. So I can kind of go over that. But the county has given us access, and what we do is we submit everything to the county. So they have things like Nextdoor, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. And then they also have been putting news releases after the charter meetings on flash alerts. But they have a whole bunch of things. Yep, I agree. Everything we have, often, early, often, and numerous times. That was my scary one. Sorry, guys, but that was from the discussion we just had. So we can do roundtables, we can do updates with City Council, League of Women Voters, Chambers of Commerce, Rotary, business community, inviting outside groups. There's a youth commission that could also we could leverage and message with, and then Public Works has Instagram. How should we engage the public? Now, this might be related to what we just asked. So if it is, don't worry, just say that. No worries. Social media. Yep. Yep. The ripple effect.
Is there any way of doing this where, because I have to go to the site, reopen it, put in my thing every time because I don't have multiple windows that I can open. Is there any other way to do this?
We're almost done. We're almost done.
Just set it up. I'm just asking you, like doing this since this seems to be like the method that you want to use for meetings.
I don't know what kind of tech you have, but all you got to do is open up multiple windows on whatever browser you use. So, okay.
Okay, I'll just.
Anybody else having any troubles? Nope. Okay. Specific. All right. And I can, like I said, I can go ahead and print these out. Asking for feedback should be collected. Yep. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Last one. What do you want us to talk about or know, or what have I not asked that you want to go ahead and put in here? And we can actually use that as the basis of a discussion if you want to. Okay. Does anybody want me to put a question on here and have everyone answer that I haven't asked? Or do you want to just go back to discussion? How do you feel? Commissioner Gasquet, what do you think?
I'm sorry, I was typing. I missed the first part of your question.
Are there any questions you want me to ask on here that we can document that I might have missed? Is there anything that, in addition you would like to talk about?
No, I think at this level of the brainstorming is good.
Okay. Commissioner Holt?
I think open discussion is fine. I don't have any specific topics.
Okay. Commissioner Rush?
Same.
Commissioner Niles?
I agree with Eric.
Commissioner Goodwin? You all right?
Yeah, what was the question? I was busy responding to the written there.
Sorry. I was just saying, is there anything else that you want to talk about? So, All right, I'm going to go ahead.
Actually, I do.
I'm sorry.
Just a little thing, and I think that a number of times little things might come up that are communications related for the group. And I know I think things moved really quickly through the slideshow. I'm not sure if I got the comment in there about some kind of communications and being on messaging with each other. And one thing that I saw especially come up in yesterday's meeting was how we were using the word consensus, and it was not being used correctly, and that really bugged me because it can be extremely confusing and misleading if we're going to be saying we have consensus when we do not have consensus, and a vote of a majority is not consensus. So a couple things like that, like just for our own internal kind of discussion and information, that could be something maybe I would just send through email, but it could be something that we could do as a communication subcommittee as well, because I think it's important that we are not just on same message, but we're using the correct terminology.
Cool. Gotcha.
I think
You are not.
Commissioner Goodwin makes a very good point that we tend to overlook, is that the commission, the communications committee is not only the marketing branch for the commissioners getting all of these agreed upon changes out, but we're also should be managing the communications within the commission, like your point, Commissioner Goodwin, that make sure that our wording is correct, that we understand each other, that communication is a two-way street, and if we're talking and not listening, then we're not communicating. And I think that's important to be effective when it comes down to selling and marketing what we've worked so hard to get on the ballot. If we're not all on the same page, we're not going to be very successful. So it's real important to see both sides of communication.
Yeah. Do you guys have any suggestions before we all dive into work on how we can make sure that that happens, that we're all aligned? Because that's what I heard you say. Is that right? We just want to make sure we're all in alignment before moving forward with communication. And we don't want to use language that isn't accurate.
Yeah, I do, and I'd say that I agree with you, Chris. That was kind of bothered me last night too, as well. And I think that I think it's up with the whole thing that I brought up earlier about, like, after each meeting, this committee needs to meet, and that's why I would like to see a weekly meeting. But so we can evaluate what we did decide on, and what the communication should be around that meeting, and what the actual commission is doing.
All righty. So I have, anybody else? All right, so I've got vote of consensus
actually,
is not.
for my part, having meetings right after the commission meeting could be a little bit tricky. I have another meeting already lined up immediately following those on Wednesdays. But what Carrie, I'd like to hear more about what you're thinking with that. Would that be our typical meeting for a communications subcommittee, or would it be kind of a brief check-in on stuff for our next meeting, would you think? What were your thoughts on how to do that there?
Are you talking to me? Well, I think
Yes.
that more communication needs to be going on by email. I mean, it is recorded in our public records when we do email each other as a committee. And I think that we could start an email chain, after a committee meeting, if people don't want to meet every week, and just have an email chain going on, and like how should we communicate what happened yesterday, and what we talked about at the commission meeting. I wasn't suggesting that we stay late on Wednesday and go through that, but I just think that we need to make sure that the messaging is unified, and that we get something out. And I think commissioners would appreciate that as well, because then they would know. They would have some guidance on how to communicate.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too, actually. I have been so confused and back and forth on what we're even allowed to communicate with each other. And there have been times when we've been advised that we cannot communicate anything unless it's in a meeting, and it's advised 2 weeks ahead of time to the public, even though we're less than a quorum, even though we're a subcommittee. We have not gotten clear instructions of what we can and cannot do. I mean, we're not inventing a new thing here, having a commission. I don't know why we don't have clear guidelines on that. That could be something maybe we could help facilitate. But I think an ongoing conversation would be great. I know that the county has access to Microsoft Teams. I don't know what kind of expense it would take to get us on that, but that would be, I think, a helpful way for us to have a more productive and ongoing conversation through a digital medium. I think that would be helpful, and give a lot more content and value to the actual in-person meetings if we do have, at the very least, an email chain between the subcommittee members, but even better if we can get in, something a little more smooth to use like Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, you know what the benefit with Teams too is we can upload files and we can share them, we can edit them together. We can have those ongoing dialogues. Other people can look into, and we can host our meetings. If we had Teams, we could host our meetings on Teams, and then we would have closed captioning.
It's all public record, easy
Yeah.
peasy, right there.
Yeah, Teams is great. Who you want to own that one, Commissioner Goodwin? Did I hear you say you want to own investigating that one?
I guess I'll ask. Yeah.
Okay.
So I agree with that, but I do want to tell you that the other subcommittees are communicating with each other by county email. And I don't, and like even from the very beginning, it's like, they all have a group, they send out a group email. And I don't, so I think it's clear that we are able to do that.
I feel like they kept telling us over and over again, though, not to reply all. So I
Yeah.
refuse to do it.
I do too.
Not
Even
gonna do
when
it,
I
you
had the
guys.
notes and stuff last night, I forwarded them to Tina to distribute to everybody just so I make sure and stay within the letter. But
I think the reply all was with every commissioner. But since we're a small group and not a,
I think it
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
matter.
okay.
It was something like as long as there's like 3 people on the chain, it becomes a public meeting.
I see Commissioner Rush's hand up, and I want to respect the fact that she's trying to be a good doobie.
I'm fine. No, so I think actually this communications committee can be helpful internally to the commission because I don't think we've gotten clear direction on how we can communicate. I will tell you, just because I sat in an elected position and they give us the same training, my experience is they try and scare you with the all of the OPMA stuff. I mean, I'm being facetious to use the word scare. They go over the top to try and point out all the potential pitfalls. Hey buddy. But I mean, it's unavoidable right now. If we could do anything to help streamline communication with those kind of issues, I think that would be helpful. I'm gonna go put him aside.
You have a very unhappy constituents. Okay, so streamline communication. Anybody else?
Just a point of clarification on the emails. Some communication is fine. Any action or work of the committee cannot be done through emails. It has to be in the meetings that people can attend. And you've got to be careful not to get serialized open meetings violations by trying to have continued communication through emails, which turns into work, which then is a violation. So communication to a level is fine, but we can't do any work of our committee through email.
Okay. All righty. So I have that it is 5:51, and I was going to propose the following to respect everyone's time. I can go ahead and print out all of these comments. I will send you all the PowerPoint with everybody's comments on it as well. That way, I know Commissioner Goodwin, you came in a little bit late, but it'll catch you up. Nothing will be shocking there. So then we can all be aligned. And then the next time we meet, we can I can list out, if you want, all of our different priorities. We can do ranked choice voting, Commissioner Gasquet. On our priorities. And we will once again demonstrate the efficacy of ranked choice voting. Is that how you'd like to proceed? What do you all think? Yep.
Just 2 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Rush, did you?
I was just saying that sounds good to me. And then just to share, if it helps, if it helps sharing my thinking as far as like what I see myself doing with that list, maybe that'll be helpful for everyone else. I plan to take the list, which are, and this is just kind of how my brain works anyway. They're kind of big picture ideas. And then I do this at work too. I do what's called a drill down. It's just my own word. So it's like, I'm going to start with a big picture idea and then start writing subcategories about how we can accomplish that. And then just drill it down into the most detailed level. So that's like, I'll be doing that kind of in my own brain. And so that maybe we can share at the next meeting a more detailed steps, because the way that I hopefully envision this, and I'm just throwing this out there, would be that we have like maybe a kind of weekly communication strategy that aligns with our meetings, but then maybe we implement something like, okay, what's our 30 days, or like 30 days prior to the ballot and 60 days prior and 90 days, like make checkpoints so that we know exactly what communications we want to accomplish by each step. And that's where I'm still not clear. And this, I'm happy to go to either Christine Cook or whomever with this. You know, when I was running for reelection, they drill into your head, you can't use any, public resources or time in the campaign. And so I think we just want to get real clear guidance about, I don't think we're doing anything to run afoul of that, but I think that before we start the outreach, we want to make sure we're doing it appropriately. And then I think that's where we're going to probably want to pull in other interested community members that can help with things like the campaign, you know what I mean? So I want to just make sure that we are not overstepping anything. So
and I remember that you mentioned that. So when I was meeting with Joni before this meeting, I got kind of a list of all the resources that we have and then the do's and don'ts. And so here's the big picture. The big picture is there's a reduced staff. There's about 3 or 4 of them we can work with. They ask that if we want any kind of special press release or anything like that to go out, we give them at least a runway of 4 to 5 days because they are reduced. But they are happy. All the communications do need to go through them. They said that once we get to a point where we want to go out into the community and make presentations and updates, they're happy to look all that over. They're happy to translate it into different languages. They could even provide translators if need be. And we can have notes on it and all that kind of thing. They'll vet everything for us to make sure that everybody is consistent. And they don't have summer hours, but they're all working flex schedule because they have had a reduction in staff. So I just want to try and be respectful. I told them we would do our best to have a regular cadence so everybody knew what to expect. So we weren't throwing them, this has to go out by tomorrow, as little as possible. There shouldn't really be any communication emergencies like that. But I'm going to go ahead and send all those notes to all of you. So you have it too, so you don't have to remember it all, because that's not how adults process information. So I'm going to send all that out to you with the names of everyone we contact, but they have just some suggestions that'll make their lives easier. So I want to try and make their lives as easy as possible. Commissioner Niles, I see your hand is up.
Okay. No, and thanks for taking notes and sending those out, Maureen. And Deanna, I love that idea. I think we need to have a strategic plan. And I think that would be something that I would really support us working on, like, having a real strategic plan on how we're going to do this, and having it put down, and having a document that we can look at and we can present to the commission as well.
Agreed. And now I'm going to share a quote with you guys, because I'm all about quotes. I heard a new one today. It's in The Art of War. Tactics without strategy is just the noise before defeat. Welcome. Okay. All right, great. You've got 4 extra.
Really quickly, you want me to share my favorite paraphrase of that quote?
Please.
It is by one of my lords and saviors, Russell Wilson, the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, who routinely says the separation is the preparation. So I'll just say that. So.
Separation is the all right, I'm going to steal that and quote it back to you some other time. Separation is the preparation. All right. Anybody else have any great quotes? Happy to accumulate a library of them. Other than that, I will go ahead and type out everything, print it all up, and send it out to all of you. Tina, if you are there, I do not need to send it through you, do I? Or should I, just to be safe?
No, you don't need to send it to me.
Okay, but I'll make sure and put you on it. So,
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Hey, we did it. 3 minutes early. We are done. Thank you very much for your time. Our next meeting, just to put it on your calendars, is May 13th, and that is Thursday at 5 o'clock. All right.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody.
Quick
Thank you.
question as
Oh,
far
sorry.
as what is considered work, which I have a good understanding what that is, but make sure we're on the same page. If we're talking about just the basic functioning of the committee, we can talk about that all day long, correct? Over email, like we're going to meet this time, we're going to organize this thing, someone's going to do this task. Okay, great, thank you.
Commissioner Goodwin, can I ask one clarifying question? Did you tell me that you can't get texts, right? Or you prefer not to respond to texts between certain hours? Am I wrong? I just want to respect
I
everyone's
cannot engage
methodologies.
with commission activity while I'm between working hours on business days. I'm a county employee and I've signed an agreement to that effect. I have to take PTO if I'm going to do that, which I'm happy to do. I've got loads of PTO, especially after last year, but I will not be responding almost every single day between 8 and 5.
That's
As a
what I
general
thought.
rule. Yep.
Okay.
But give me a call. Maybe I can take lunch breaks are viable. And I can try me, but the commission email is the best way for me, please.
No worries. Just wanted to respect your time and
Okay.
preference. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. We will see you in a week, and I'll send everything out to you. Have a good one. Thanks. Thanks, Tina.
Bye, all.